I was just listening to a podcast talking about like people that had problems with Dane Cook and some other shit, and I was just kind of like thinking back to when I used to do stand-up, and we had a comedy night on Front Street in Wilmington, and I also was a corrections officer, and I was doing shit on the radio locally and stuff, and so I had a little bit of a buzz behind me, but people also knew that I was a corrections officer. So we were doing a show, okay, and this guy came in from this other group. They were like an improv group, and he was up on stage, and you know, you get a couple minutes and there's a light that you get lit up with if it's time to move on, or if you just aren't making it work and we're trying to move you on, so you know, just to keep the rhythm going and get somebody else up there. Well, this dude was up on stage, and my friend Casey was a black stand-up comic, and he invited like a shit ton of like non-white people to the show, and which is fine with me because at my work, you know, I'm surrounded by an amalgamation of people, and I always, you know, just in life, felt really at ease. You know, not performing, because I never really performed in front of just a black audience, but I just knew dealing with black people how I would go about doing it if it ever came to like a thing, to like a, well, so the kid's up on stage just doing like fucking, like looking like an extra in One Tree Hill. Finally, a dude just literally throws a fucking glass at the backdrop of the stage, like the Blues Brothers, and it shatters, and dude's like, yo, get the fuck off the stage, bro. And I'm like, so I'm running the show, and I've got the flashlight, and I got up on stage and grabbed him, and I said, bro, what the fuck, man, you gotta get moving, dude. This isn't working. Are you that drunk that you can't tell that this isn't working? You know, like, let's go. And he was going on stage, he was telling me, oh, bro, you're just fucking trying to embarrass me. And I go, dude, look at the fucking audience. Does anybody out there in the audience look like they're smiling? Just look right now. Go. You know? And he's like, no. I go, it's about the audience, dude. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing, the shit that you hear people say backstage on just even like a local circuit or an amateur or whatever comedy circuit, people are just so, they lose the plot. So I hit the DJ and tell him to just play some fucking hip hop or something, like legitimately, you know, just get like the crowd moving. I go, all right, who's next? You know, I'm looking at the list, and I'm like, you know, looking down the list, and I'm like, hey, you ready? And he's like, no, man, this isn't my crowd. And I go, what do you mean this isn't your crowd? They're fucking humans. They're everybody's crowd. He's like, yeah, I just don't think I'll do good in front of a bunch of black people. And they just threw a fucking glass at dude. So I don't know. I'm not feeling it. And I said, okay, well, who's next? I looked at who's next. That dude was like, I'm leaving. I'm not going up. I said, really? He's like, yeah, I'm not going up. I'm just, you know. So I said, all right. I said, I think Timmy Sherrill, who was a really good local comic, he was fucking funny as fuck. I said to him, I said, you want to go up? And he goes, I'll go up after you. He goes, you need to go up. I said, all right, I'll go up. He said, give me my guitar. So I go up. I got my guitar. My fucking knees are like knocking like together almost. You know what I mean? And I got like an electric tuner, so I'm tuning my guitar. I can hear it. I can see the buttons, you know, over the music and stuff. And for some reason, I don't know why, the DJ just stopped the fucking music. And the one guy goes, while I'm just strumming, making sure the guitar's in tune. I don't even know what the fuck I'm gonna do. You know, I'm just thinking my act, you know, I'm just like, I'm just going to go fucking freestyle, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't even know, so fuck it, whatever happens, happens, but we're going to go down swinging or getting hit with glass. So I described the guy, one guy goes like, yo man, are you really work at the prison across the street from the airport down there? And I go, yeah, I mean, I used to. And he goes, what do you mean you used to? And I said, well, I'm pretty sure after tonight, whatever happens here, when that gets back to the deputy over there or the warden in charge, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have a job anymore. And like a couple of dudes started laughing, and that kind of cut the tension in the room. You know what I mean? And I had known, like, one of my things that I had always gone to in my life was when I had a chance to, when I'm talking to black people, even just doing pest control or whatever, I would always talk, when we're bullshit, I'll even say this shit to my neighbors. Sometimes they don't bite on it because they're waiting. They think it's a trick, but I'll go, man, you know what, some annoying shit, what some annoying shit white people do, like call the cops on shit for no reason, and I'll just have this whole list of things that I think is annoying that white people do. But the first thing I did was, I'm pretty good at riffing with my guitar and just writing songs on the spot, you know what I mean? And there's an area in like Wilmington where they fucking have like a really bad, like it's a legit housing project. Like, they fly the fucking helicopter over it, and it's not an area that you want to fucking drive through, you know what I mean? So I just remember grabbing the guitar, strumming it, and I sang something like, there's a place all white people know where none of us are welcome to go, something like that, you know what I mean? And something like, you all know it's true. I think it's called Creek View. I just rhymed it with that. And the place went fucking bonkers because it was finally something that somebody fucking said. Finally somebody said that made like it was real, like shit, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that is in that, it's no secret, you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing, And I went into my bit about like shit white people do. I went out, I went into this thing about like, hold on, my dog is really fucking out. Dude, walk normal, okay? Little nerd. Okay, before I get verbally abusive. You hear me? Doesn't care. He cares. So, and that's one thing, like, about comedy, like, I always had the one joke where I would say, like, I remember like a black girl started clapping, and I said to her when she started clapping, I said, thank you. Anytime a black person claps, I look at it like 4 white people clapping, because it's really hard to make, black people just don't laugh like that. So I don't know, I was just thinking of that, and I was just listening to this podcast that Dane Cook was on, and the shit that people giving him rightfully or not rightfully, but I don't know, just kind of remembering back some of those days that I just, I don't really think about anymore.